Hello crafty friends, welcome to today's video in which I'm going to recreate another crafty trend. So I've been seeing recently on social media lots of cards pop up featuring a collage of postage stamps. Now I think these have been created with a particular die and stencil set or sets, but again I'm not rushing out to buy them. Instead I've gone through my stash of dies and stamps and things to see if I could get the look without spending any more money. And this is the card I came up with today. And as usual, I'll show you how I created it with some adaptations and suggestions how you can get a similar look with things that you might already have in your stash. So these are the dies that I used for my postage stamps. This is from a set of nesting dies. There's a couple of big ones and I think a smaller one in there. And these are just some postage stamp dies. And I cut some postage stamps out of mixed media paper just to give me some options. This card, I used Catherine Pooler inks, which if you're going to blend, you're going to need a mixed media-esque paper, I think. But you could also use distress oxides and they're a bit more forgiving when it comes to the papers that you can use when you want to blend. So I'm going to map this out on here just so that I can blend and stamp in a way that is kind of continuous. That will make sense in a minute when I get round to it. Okay, so I don't have any stencils with which to create a border on these postage stamps to make them look like postage stamps, but I can mask, and I'm going to use some low-tack masking tape to mask around the edges. The beauty of this masking tape is that it is translucent, so I can lay it down and know that I'm getting the right size border. Everything's masked off now. It only took a few minutes really. It's a little bit fiddly but not too bad. But this might be a situation where you do want to invest in a set of stencils and dies that coordinate to make this stage a lot easier, eliminate the faffing with the masking tape, but that doesn't bother me, so I'm quite happy to do that. I've picked out some of the Catherine Pooler inks from the party collection. I want them to be nice and bright. This one I think is a mixture of party and spa, so the brights and the more subtle colours. But we're going to go with these. I've got Cotton Candy, It's a Girl, Serenade, Pixie Dust and Sweet 16. I'm going to blend these onto my stamps. And I'm not going to worry if I get colours on more than one stamp, if you see what I mean. If I go up here and blend a bit of purple deliberately or accidentally, because I've put them in such a way that I want them to be kind of continuous. Okay, I think that's going to be bold enough there. And this is Sweet 16. I'll pop this on here. Maybe a bit of Serenade up here. Oh, that's very blue. So that's quite a dark blue one. And I think we'll bring that down here so it's in more than one place. It doesn't draw the eye too much. Pinks and purples are near each other on the colour wheel. Again, they're analogous colours, so they sit nicely together. Oops, that's not right. That's gone on there. Thingamy-bob. I might have to do that again. Let's see if I can rescue that. A bit of a tail there. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to smush. When you use these on mixed media paper, you can smush the ink pad and it will still spread out really nicely. Okay, that's all right. I think we rescued that. Before I take the masks off, I'm going to do some tone-on-tone stamping with butterflies. And I've got a variety of butterflies here from different sources. And I'm not looking for perfect impressions because these are just background butterflies. So I can stamp them. If they don't stamp perfectly, it's no great problem. I want them fluttering up the page a bit. Cotton candy, which I used here, is a very light colour, so I don't think it's going to show up particularly well when I stamp it. I'm going to use, instead, It's a Girl to stamp on that pink. So now I've got some of my postmark stamps, and I'm going to stamp those on these stamps as if they've been used, and I'm using for this one Pebble ink, which is a grey. I don't want to go in with black. I think that would be too much, but I think grey will work just fine. So now time for the reveal. This is very low tack tape, but if you think you're at risk of tearing your stamps that you've just so carefully inked and stamped, then give it a little blast with a hairdryer, and that will soften the adhesive and stop it ripping when you remove it. Right, there we go. We've got some stamps with butterflies on. This one isn't as prominent. The butterflies are quite faint, but we'll see what it looks like on the final card. And this one, I clearly didn't mask that off properly, so I might have to redo that one. So I'll do that off camera. Okay, so I redid that one. I didn't go in so heavily with the Serenade, so it's a little bit lighter. And because the butterflies really aren't showing up on the It's a Girl, I'm going to cheat a little bit and use some Distress Oxide and see if I can make that show up a bit more. Yeah, that shows up a bit more, and I don't think anyone is going to notice that I used Distress Oxide rather than a Catherine Pooler ink. Now I'm going to work on my main focal point, this large stamp. I want this to be completely dry because I'm going to do some heat embossing on it, and I don't want random bits sticking here and there. So I'm going to use my hairdryer. For this, I want to use a stamp positioner so that I can double stamp my large butterfly, you know, get it well and truly coated with Versamark. And I'm going to use my stamp wheel because it's got a grip mat inside, and this is a fairly small die cut, and to stamp on it in my other positioner, which uses magnets, would be a bit of a pickle. So grip mat is a really good idea for small die cuts. And I'm going to pop that on there and get that lined up. Pick that up. So I'm going to give it a good going over with the cornflower, stamp with my Versamark, and pop this in the gold and see how we get on. And there you go, there is my gold butterfly. I think that's stamped quite well. Now I have an A5 card blank with linen textured cardstock, and I've made it A5 because I'm going to cut it down, probably make it a little bit narrower, but I won't really know what size until I've got everything stuck down. I want to pop my focal point stamp up on craft foam, so I'll do that. I'd like to have it, on this one, it was fairly central. I think I want this one up a little bit, so it's not too symmetrical in that direction. Just offset things a little bit. So that's on there straight. So on this card, I used a little sentiment that I heat embossed in gold on the linen textured cardstock and popped it on top of these stamps. It says, "Be kind to yourself." But I'm thinking I'm going to leave this gap here for some kind of sentiment. So I'll get these stuck down. I'm going to stick these directly down to the paper. So for my sentiment, I'm going to cut the word thanks in a scripty font out of gold card. And I'm going to pop it on this shadow that I've die cut from the same paper that I used for the stamps. And I have popped it up on a bit of craft foam. And I'm going to pop it in this gap that I left. So there we have our card with the sentiment and everything on it. I'm thinking it needs a few little spatterings of something, so I'm going to add some more gold and put a trail of dots in between the postage stamps. And I think that adds to the kind of upward flow of the whole thing. So I'm very happy with that. But before we finish today, I wanted to do a bit of an experiment. I've masked off some more postage stamps in the same paper as these. And I wanted to try some smushing to add the colours rather than blending. I've not smushed with these Catherine Poole inks before. I thought I'd give it a go today and see how we get on. So I've got the same colours, and I'm going to add a little bit. Don't have to press very hard, much less hard than you would with Distress Oxides. Add some water and pick it up with my smusher. If you want to find out how to make a smusher, there is a video in which I do so, and it's linked above and down below. So there we go, a little bit of smushing, that looks nice. I think with smushing, it's important to make sure that the masking tape is pressed down really well, because it's very wet, the smushing technique, and it might seep under and then you won't get your nice white borders. Well, we'll just see how we get on today. I'll lift up a bit of colour as well with a tissue. And I'm going to go over them again to see if I can layer them nicely. So there you go, they are smushed and stamped. I rather like the effect of the smushing as opposed to the blending. I think they're both really nice techniques, but this one definitely has more movement and energy and vibrancy. So that's a couple of cards made using postage stamp dies. If you don't have any postage stamp dies, you could always just use rectangles, especially if they are stitched rectangles. I think they would look really nice in this kind of design. And if you haven't got the patience for using masking tape, you could always create your own stencils tailor-made with rectangles cut out for the dies that you do have in your stash. That's always an option. Right, that's it. Thanks for joining me today. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do leave a thumbs up, a comment and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you back here very soon for my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.